The year was 2347 and Earth was in ruins. For decades, humanity had fought against the Galactic Alliance, a powerful group of alien races united to conquer the stars. Once proud and free, humans now lived in fear, hiding in underground bunkers and abandoned cities. The skies were filled with enemy ships, their dark silhouettes casting shadows over the Earth. The Galactic Alliance had won battle after battle, and hope was dwindling. Inside a hidden bunker, a group of human leaders gathered. They looked tired and worn, each face marked by worry and despair. The air was thick with tension as they discussed their bleak situation. Commander Sarah Mitchell, a fierce and determined woman, stood up. "We can't give up now! We must find a way to fight back," she urged. Her voice was strong, but the doubt in her eyes showed the weight of their losses. The room was filled with murmurs. "What can we do? Our forces are nearly wiped out," said General Mark Torres, his brow furrowed in frustration. "We've lost so many good soldiers. What's left to fight with?" As the leaders debated, a young officer named Liam stepped forward. "I've been studying the old military records," he said nervously. "There's talk of an ancient fleet hidden away since the last war. It's a long shot, but if we can find it, it might just give us a chance." The room fell silent. The idea seemed impossible. The ancient fleet was nothing more than a legend, a tale told to inspire hope in dark times. But Commander Mitchell's eyes sparked with interest. "If this fleet exists, we must find it. It could be our last hope," she declared. The other leaders exchanged glances, their expressions shifting from doubt to cautious optimism. They quickly formed a plan. A small team of volunteers would search for the ancient fleet, while the rest of the leaders prepared for the next battle. The journey would be dangerous, but the promise of the fleet was a glimmer of hope they could not ignore. They gathered supplies and weapons, preparing to venture into enemy territory. The team set out at dawn, their hearts heavy with the weight of their mission. They traveled through ruins of cities, where buildings crumbled and streets lay silent. Nature had begun to reclaim the land, but the scars of war were everywhere. The team moved cautiously, knowing that the Galactic Alliance patrolled the skies. As they reached the edge of what was once a thriving city, they spotted enemy drones in the distance. "We need to stay low and move fast," whispered Liam, leading the way through the wreckage. The team ducked behind broken walls and overgrown debris, their hearts racing. They had trained for this moment, but the reality of their situation was overwhelming. Hours passed as they navigated the treacherous landscape. Finally, they arrived at a hidden location marked on the old map. It was an ancient military base buried beneath layers of dirt and rubble. Excitement mixed with fear as they approached the entrance. "This is it," Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper. "This could change everything." They descended into the darkened halls, their flashlights flickering against the cold, damp walls. The atmosphere was tense, each step echoing like a heartbeat. As they reached the main control room, they discovered dusty screens and old machinery, remnants of a time long past. Liam's fingers trembled as he brushed away the dust, revealing a panel filled with buttons and switches. "Let's see if we can power it up," he said, a glimmer of hope shining in his eyes. The team worked together, their hands moving swiftly. After what felt like an eternity, the machinery began to hum and whir. Lights flickered on, illuminating the room. Suddenly, the ground shook as alarms blared throughout the base. "We're not alone!" Sarah shouted, fear gripping her heart. The team scrambled for cover, their hearts pounding in their chests. They had to hurry. The enemy would be here any moment. In that moment of uncertainty, a determination ignited within them. They would not let fear win. They had to awaken the ancient fleet. This was their chance to reclaim their future and turn the tide of war. With every ounce of courage, they prepared to fight for their survival and the hope of humanity. The battle for Earth was far from over, but in this dark hour, a spark of hope flickered, ready to ignite a fire that could change everything. The alarms blared loudly in the ancient military base, sending echoes through the dark hallways. Commander Sarah Mitchell and her team crouched behind a metal console, hearts racing with fear and adrenaline. "We have to get to the fleet controls," she shouted over the noise. They had awakened the ancient technology, and now they needed to revive the fleet hidden deep within the base. As the red lights flashed around them, Liam, the young officer, quickly scanned the control panel. "I can access the fleet's mainframe from here," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos. He typed furiously, his fingers dancing over the keyboard. The screens lit up with information, revealing the location of the ancient ships. But the joy was short-lived. "We need to hurry! The enemy is already tracking us," he warned. "Let's move!" Sarah commanded. They rushed through the halls, trying to ignore the fear creeping into their hearts. The team navigated narrow corridors and dark rooms filled with dust and shadows. The air was thick, and the smell of old metal hung around them. Every step echoed like a drumbeat, reminding them of the danger they were in. Finally, they reached a large hangar door. The massive metal doors were sealed tight, covered in rust and time. Sarah's heart sank as she glanced at the door. "How do we get in?" she asked, anxiety tightening her throat. Liam approached the control panel next to the door. "I'll try to override the lock," he said, his voice calm yet urgent. He worked quickly, tapping commands into the screen. After what felt like an eternity, the door rumbled and slowly began to open. A bright light spilled into the dark hallway, revealing the hidden fleet inside. The sight took their breath away. Rows of ancient ships stood silently in the hangar, their hulls gleaming under the harsh lights. Each ship was a testament to humanity's past, a symbol of strength and resilience. This is incredible," whispered General Mark Torres, his eyes wide with awe. "Let's get to work," Sarah urged, shaking off her wonder. "We need to get these ships operational." The team rushed forward, moving from ship to ship, examining the controls and systems. They found dusty old manuals and holographic guides that detailed how to operate each vessel. Hours flew by as they worked tirelessly, fueled by hope and determination. Liam led the effort, using his skills to repair damaged systems and connect power sources. The hum of machinery filled the air, and soon the ships began to awaken. Lights flickered on, and control panels lit up with life. "This one is ready!" shouted Liam, excitement bubbling in his voice as he activated one of the ships. The vessel's engines roared to life, filling the hangar with a powerful vibration. The team cheered, their spirits lifting as they realized they could actually turn the tide of the war. But just as they celebrated, an alarm blared again. "They found us!" Sarah yelled, her heart racing. The sound of engines and distant voices echoed from outside the hangar. The Galactic Alliance was closing in. "Quick! We need to get everyone aboard!" she ordered, urgency flooding her voice. The team moved quickly, jumping into the ships and preparing for launch. Mark and Sarah coordinated the crew, ensuring everyone had a place. The ancient vessels were cramped, but the crew worked together, climbing into the seats and strapping in. As they prepared for takeoff, Liam monitored the controls. "I've never flown one of these before," he admitted, his voice shaking slightly. "But I think I can manage." "Just follow my lead," Sarah encouraged, her own heart pounding. "We'll do this together." The hangar doors opened wide, revealing the dark sky filled with enemy ships. The team felt a surge of fear, but also a rush of adrenaline. This was their chance to fight back. The ancient fleet, once thought to be a mere legend, was now their salvation. "Let's show them what Earth can do," Sarah shouted. With a deep breath, they launched into the sky, the ancient ships roaring as they shot forward. The thrill of flight was electric, and for the first time in years, they felt a spark of hope. As they soared into battle, the crew steeled themselves. They were not just fighting for their lives, they were fighting for the future of humanity. The ancient fleet was alive, and so was their hope. The tide of war was about to turn. The ancient fleet hovered in the darkness of space, a mix of rust and forgotten glory. Inside the command ship, Commander Sarah Mitchell looked out at the stars, a sense of determination filling her. They had awakened the ships, but now they faced a new challenge, training the crew to use them. With the Galactic Alliance closing in, they had little time. The crew gathered in the ship's large training room, a space filled with old screens and control panels. Sarah stood before them, her heart racing with excitement. "We don't have much time," she began, her voice strong. "We must learn to operate these ships quickly. The future of Earth depends on us." Liam, the young officer who had helped revive the fleet, stood beside her. "Each ship has its own systems and controls. We need to split into teams to learn as much as we can," he said, a determined look on his face. The crew nodded, ready for the challenge ahead. The first group focused on navigation. They gathered around a large screen that displayed a holographic map of the galaxy. "This is our playground," Liam explained, pointing to the glowing stars. "We need to learn how to maneuver through enemy territory and avoid their patrols." Sarah joined the navigation team, guiding them through the basics. Use the stars as your guide. Remember, the enemy won't be expecting us to move swiftly. Stay sharp and think fast. As they practiced, excitement filled the air. For the first time, the crew felt a sense of purpose and unity. In another part of the ship, a different team focused on weapon systems. General Mark Torres led this group, his experience shining through. These ships are armed with powerful weapons, but we must learn to work as a team to use them effectively, he instructed. We can't afford to miss. The crew practiced firing at virtual targets displayed on the screens. They cheered each time they hit their mark, their confidence growing with every successful shot. Great job, everyone! Keep it up! Mark encouraged, watching as they improved. He could see the fire in their eyes, a determination to reclaim their home. Meanwhile, a third group focused on engineering and repairs. They examined the ship's systems, learning how to fix problems and keep everything running smoothly. These ships may be ancient, but they are still powerful, one of the engineers said. We just need to understand how they work. As the days passed, the crew trained tirelessly. They faced challenges and frustrations, but they always pushed through. They laughed together, sharing stories of the past and hopes for the future. They had become a family, united by their common goal. One afternoon, as they gathered for a break, Sarah addressed the crew. I'm proud of all of you. We've come so far in such a short time. But remember, training is only part of the journey. We must trust each other when we face the enemy. Let's make a promise, Liam suggested, standing up. No matter what happens, we will look out for each other. We will fight together and we will win together. The crew cheered in agreement, their spirits high. They knew the battle ahead would be tough, but together, they felt invincible. Finally, the day of their first real test arrived. They had received word that a Galactic Alliance patrol was approaching their location. Sarah gathered the crew in the command room. This is our chance to show what we've learned. We will intercept the patrol and make our presence known. Liam's eyes sparkled with excitement. Let's show them what we can do, he said, determination radiating from him. The crew hurried to their stations, their hearts pounding with anticipation. The ships roared to life and the familiar hum filled the air. Sarah took a deep breath, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. Remember your training. We've got this! As they launched into the vastness of space, the stars twinkled like 1,000 eyes watching them. The crew felt a surge of hope and strength. They were no longer just a group of survivors. They were warriors ready to reclaim their home. With the ancient fleet behind them, they soared into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Their training had prepared them for this moment, and together they would fight for Earth. The tide of the war was about to change, and they were ready to take their place in history. The stars shone brightly in the darkness of space, but tension filled the air aboard the command ship. Commander Sarah Mitchell stood at the helm, her heart racing with anticipation. The crew had trained hard, and now it was time to put their skills to the test. They were ready for the battle against the Galactic Alliance. Are we ready? Sarah asked, her voice steady but full of determination. The crew nodded, their eyes filled with resolve. They had faced challenges and overcome fears, and now they stood united. The ship's sensors beeped, signaling the approach of the enemy. They're here! Liam shouted from his station, his fingers flying over the controls. The holographic display showed a fleet of enemy ships, their dark forms moving menacingly through the stars. Steady, everyone, Sarah said, trying to keep the fear from her voice. Remember your training. We fight as one. She could see the nervousness in some of her crew members' eyes, but she also saw their courage. They were ready to defend their home. As the enemy fleet closed in, the command ship moved forward, leading the charge. Let's show them what we've got, Mark Torres shouted, rallying the crew. The ships roared to life, engines firing as they accelerated towards the enemy. The two fleets met in a flash of light and sound. Explosions rocked the space around them as weapons fire lit up the darkness. Sarah's heart raced as she maneuvered the ship, avoiding enemy fire and keeping her crew safe. Liam, target the nearest ship, she commanded. Firing now! Liam replied, his hand steady as he unleashed a volley of laser fire. The bright beams struck the enemy ship, causing it to explode in a burst of flames. Cheers erupted from the crew, and Sarah felt a surge of hope. Keep it up! We can do this! Sarah encouraged, her voice ringing with confidence. The crew worked together, firing weapons, guiding the ships, and coordinating their movements. They were a well-oiled machine, responding to each other's commands without hesitation. But the enemy was relentless. They returned fire, their lasers striking the ancient ships. The command ship shook violently as it took a hit, alarms blaring. "We're losing shields!" shouted one of the engineers, panic rising in his voice. "Focus! We can repair them!" Sarah yelled, trying to keep her team calm. "Liam, get us to a safe position." Liam nodded, his eyes fixed on the controls. "I'm on it! Hold on!" The ship lurched as he maneuvered, bringing them behind one of the larger vessels in the fleet. The crew worked quickly to repair the damaged systems, hands flying over buttons and switches. "Shields are holding at 50%, one engineer reported, breathing heavily. "We can keep fighting!" With the shields up, Sarah regained her composure. "Let's regroup with the other ships. We need to strike hard and fast." The crew cheered, their spirits lifted. As they moved to join their allies, Sarah spotted a massive enemy cruiser looming ahead. "That's our target. We can take it down," she commanded. The crew responded eagerly, focusing their fire on the cruiser. Explosions erupted around it, debris flying as the ancient fleet swarmed in. "Keep firing! We need to break through their defenses," Mark shouted, urging the crew on. The battle raged around them. Ships exploded in fiery displays, and the vacuum of space echoed with the sounds of war. But despite the chaos, the crew remained focused, working together as they had practiced. "Prepare for a boarding maneuver," Sarah ordered, her heart pounding. "We can take the fight to them." They maneuvered their ships closer, preparing to launch a boarding party. The crew's excitement surged as they readied themselves. "We can finish this," Liam exclaimed, determination shining in his eyes. "On my mark," Sarah shouted. 3, 2, 1. "Go!" They launched boarding pods, streaking towards the enemy cruiser. As the pods connected with the hull, the crew sprang into action. They stormed aboard, ready to face whatever awaited them. Inside the cruiser, they fought fiercely, determined to reclaim their home. The battle was chaotic, but the crew's training kicked in. They moved as a unit, covering each other and pushing forward. Sarah led the charge, her heart filled with fire. They had come too far to back down now. The great battle for Earth was in full swing, and they would not be defeated. Together they would fight to the end. Together, they would win. The battle raged on, a fierce clash of fire and metal echoing through the vast emptiness of space. Commander Sarah Mitchell pushed forward, leading her crew as they fought bravely aboard the enemy cruiser. The echoes of explosions and the cries of battle filled the air, but their determination never wavered. "Keep pushing! We're almost there!" Sarah shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. The crew pressed on, their hearts filled with courage. Each step forward was a step closer to victory. Inside the cruiser, the crew fought valiantly, moving through narrow hallways and dark corners. They encountered resistance from the enemy soldiers, but they were ready. Liam, alongside Sarah, led a small team to secure the control room, the heart of the cruiser. "Watch your backs!" Liam warned as they rounded a corner, his weapon raised. Suddenly, an enemy soldier appeared, firing wildly. Liam reacted quickly, returning fire and hitting the enemy soldier. "Let's go! We need to secure this room!" As they approached the control room, Sarah felt a rush of adrenaline. She could almost taste victory. The crew fought through the last lines of defense, and finally they burst through the doors of the control room. Inside, they found a group of enemy officers scrambling to defend their position. "Hands up! You're surrounded!" Sarah commanded, her voice firm. The enemy officers looked at each other in shock, realizing they were outnumbered. They dropped their weapons, surrendering to the brave crew of Earth. "Secure them!" Liam called, as the crew quickly moved in to take control of the situation. Sarah stood tall, a smile of triumph spreading across her face. They had done it. They had taken the control room. With their control over the cruiser established, Sarah and Liam quickly began to assess the situation. "We need to disable the ship's weapons and communications," Sarah said, her mind racing. "If we can do that, we'll reduce their effectiveness in the battle." Liam nodded, typing rapidly on the control panel. "I'm on it! Just a few more seconds." The tension in the room was palpable as the crew held their breath, waiting for Liam to finish. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared through the cruiser. "They're trying to retake control!" Liam shouted. "We need to hold our position!" The crew braced themselves, ready for whatever came next. Back in space, the battle continued. The ancient fleet fought fiercely against the remaining enemy ships, but the tide was turning. The Galactic Alliance had underestimated Earth's resolve, and now they were paying the price. With the control room secured, Sarah's crew quickly disabled the weapons and communications systems of the cruiser. The enemy forces were losing coordination, and the rest of the ancient fleet began to push forward. "We're winning!" One of the crew members cheered, their faces lighting up with hope. "Look at them retreating!" But Sarah knew better than to celebrate too soon. "Stay alert. We need to finish this," she reminded her crew, her voice steady. "We've come too far to let them escape." As the battle raged on, Sarah and Liam took charge of the cruiser. They coordinated with the rest of the ancient fleet, providing support and firepower. The enemy was now disoriented and scattered, their ships falling one by one. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the last enemy ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Cheers erupted from the crew, and Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had won! "We did it!" Liam shouted, pumping his fist in the air. "We actually did it!" Sarah turned to her crew, her heart swelling with pride. "You were incredible! We fought together and achieved the impossible!" The ancient fleet regrouped, their ships hovering in formation. The crew looked at each other, smiles replacing the tension of battle. They had not only defended their home, but had also found a new strength within themselves. As they floated in the aftermath of the battle, Sarah glanced out at the stars, her heart filled with hope. "This is just the beginning," she said, her voice strong. "We will rebuild, and we will protect our planet. Together, we will forge a new future." The crew nodded, united by their shared victory. They had fought against all odds and emerged stronger than ever. The ancient fleet had returned, and with it, a renewed sense of purpose. The battle for Earth had been won, but the war was far from over. The Galactic Alliance would remember this day, and they would think twice before challenging humanity again. In that moment, amidst the cheers and the triumph, the crew realized that they had not only fought for survival, they had fought for each other. Their bonds were stronger than ever, and together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. As they set course for Earth, Sarah smiled, her heart full of hope. The future was bright, and they were ready to embrace it together.